with the new stocks that are coming out has a lot to, seems very familiar to those movies from the 1930s. This new financial instrument, a lot of confusion about it, a lot of seeming arbitrariness, and a lot of angst, insecurity, and fraud that tends to be around these new pieces. Now, the security issues there with Bitcoin, I think might prevent Bitcoin from being around 2050. Sorry. The issue of cryptocurrencies, though, these are all completely solvable if there's a point to it. I mean, the amount of security that you have to put in to make sure that your Bitcoins can be secure are outside of what even I would be willing to deal with as a guy with a master's in computer security, right? I mean, you've got to really protect yourself. It's best to have a laptop, a separate computer that you keep offline, that you're only using to keep your wallet. There's some other ways to do it, but as Mt. Gox showed, there's a lot of issues in the exchanges. We're still new into this. We're still trying to figure it out. Entirely solvable. But again, it has to be usable for people. There has to be a demand for that we're not getting through PayPal, that we're not getting through credit cards, that we're not getting through other things, that it's going to make it as a viable medium of exchange for you and me. As far as the broader chains of geeks versus governments, I want to read, and this might be familiar to some of you. This was written in 1996, a declaration of the independence of cyberspace. Governments of the industrial world, you weary giants of flesh and steel, I come from cyberspace, the new home of mind. On behalf of the future, I ask you of the past to leave us alone. You are not welcome among us. You have no sovereignty where we gather. Cyberspace does not live within your borders. You have not engaged in our great and gathering conversation, nor did you create the wealth of our marketplaces. You claim there are problems among us that you need to solve. Many of these problems don't exist. Where there are real conflicts, where there are wrongs, we will identify them and address them by our means. Your legal concepts of property, expression, identity, movement, and context do not apply to us. They are all based on matter, and there is no matter here. We must declare our virtual selves immune to your sovereignty, even as we continue to consent to your rule over our bodies. And that was John Perry Barlow. He was a lyricist for the Grateful Dead. And that was from 1996, which was representing a trend. You could see that trend from the Toffler's writings of the Third Wave and others in the 70s and 80s, of saying we're going out of this industrial age into this information age,